All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to have about spend the next 55 minutes or so talking to you about Green Beacon Solutions Sports CRM and how we really see professional organizations being able to take advantage of the information within Sports CRM to really promote and target specific messages for their marketing and sales folks to really drive revenue. My name is John Lucas. I'm the pre-sales manager here at Green Beacon. Also on the phone we have Karan Racklin. He's one of our delivery consultants. He came to us from Turnkey a little bit ago, but prior to that he was with our first sports customer, the Boston Red Sox, and was a major part of the implementation we had with them. He's going to be leading off the first part of this presentation, and then after he's done with his piece, I'm going to take back over and do some of the product demo. So with that, I will turn it over to Karan.
Great.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Just going to talk a little bit on kind of the main drivers behind CRM, what it can be used for in terms of revenue and customer service on a kind of a high-level theoretical point of view instead of the kind of the low technical down to the earth level. So we'll look at this one a little bit back and just look at some of the implementations we've done and how professional sports teams across all the sports are using CRM to help in their marketing campaigns and try to drive a little more revenue to show that result. So, I think that when we look at CRM, there's a lot of different ways to approach it, certainly from a revenue point of view and returning on the investment you make on CRM, but a lot of it comes back to service, whether it's customer service, interacting actually with the fans in the park, on the phone, whatever the case may be, or if it's in the marketing arena as well, when you have sales campaigns, when you're reaching out to potential customers or existing customers, trying to talk to them about whatever products you have in terms of season tickets or single games or whatever the case may be, but making sure that you're calling the right people. And when you're calling the right people and you're not overdoing it, you're not hitting the same people frequently, that's all part of service as well. We look at brands that have excellent customer service now. You look at, before you see here, American Express, the Ritz, Disney, and Apple, and what people like about them. It's about that relationship. It's about knowing more about your customers on a personal level, and then also their habits, their behaviors when it comes to purchasing at your stadium or how they interact with you outside of the stadium, whether it's websites or events or non-game events, things like that. There's a lot of different ways that fans can interact, and understanding those, knowing what they want, knowing what's driving them really is that key piece. A lot of it is that we'll see is that even if you go to Disney, it's not necessarily an inexpensive affair, but people have a good time and they think that you still get excellent results on customer service. People feel like they really had a great experience with everyone that interacts with them. Apple certainly has a reputation for that. American Express, the Ritz, these are not inexpensive brands, but they provide that level of service as a result of that, and people come away thinking, wow, that's a great experience. It really, I really felt like they were talking directly to me, and they're willing to spend, a couple of extra bucks. What we want CRM to be able to do is to increase revenues, organization-wide, however you're implementing CRM, through targeting the customer as specifically as possible, while still maintaining, that threshold for revenue. Proactively reaching out to the right people, knowing that if you try to sell them a coat, that they don't live in an area where it never gets below 60 degrees. You want it to be specific and you want it to make sense, both because you'll increase your sales, you'll decrease the amount of effort, but also from a service point of view, the customer's not going to feel like you're just blanketing them with contact all the time. So the first step of this is knowing about the customer. Right? We know the customers buy tickets. We know that when they come to the game, they're buying tickets to get there. But you have to look at other things. You have to look at the other things that they're buying, and then more specifics about it. So, what kind of tickets? Were they season tickets? Were they single games? Were they mini plans? How about price scale? Were they the top row of the upper deck, or were they down at the field box level? That makes obviously a big difference. Their historical patterns. especially if you look at kind of the general economic state of the country in the last couple of years. If you have people that are spending a lot in that period of time, then you can say, okay, maybe there's a little room to go up as things improve. Understanding the history of people's purchases is a key part of this. Looking at where else they're buying tickets. Certainly, secondary market is a big piece for any team. Are they buying tickets there? Are they selling their tickets there? How are they paying? Are they paying over face? Are they undercutting face and how they're buying? What is the product that they're looking for and at what price point? And then also third-party data, whether you're looking at Turnkey Prospector or live analytics at Ticketmaster, knowing a little bit more about what the person's personal habits are, a little bit more about their personal traits, and then their ability to spend, which are two key points in this, their ability to spend beyond just their past purchases and some of that extra information. If you get all that information, it really helps create that 360 view. It's kind of a cliche term, but it really is important. Going beyond the tickets, there's also other pieces of this. Are they coming into the stadium for tours? Are they a fan, but maybe they live out of town, maybe the tickets are a little pricey, whatever the case is. Are they coming in for tours? How much are they spending on merchandise and concessions? This can come directly from the concession provider. We've got a couple listed here. Or, this is one of those things that loyalty programs, if you're looking at a Alvarado or a Ski Data or a Fortress loyalty program, that's a big piece of this as well. You can take that data and then you can add that to your repertoire in terms of what information is available. And then, of course, non-game event buyers. Now, there's not always a one-to-one crossover between, a playoff ticket buyer and a Britney Spears concert buyer, but there is a little bit of a connection. And when you have people who have the ability to buy expensive tickets to concerts, for example, maybe that's someone you want to talk to, even if they don't have tickets. Maybe it's someone worth reaching out to. It's certainly good information to have. So we've got a few examples of situational marketing. Whether you're moving people from single games to partial or full plans, if you want to move from a partial to a full, increase the spend amount at games already attended, and increase attendance at purchased games. So these are all kind of customer level interests, right? You want to look at the customer and say, okay, this customer buys single games. What can we do to get them to a mini plan? Or this customer comes to 50% of their games. What can we do to get them to come to 75? And then there's also distressed inventory, which is kind of looking the other way around. Okay, we have these products to sell. How do we get people to sell them? So you can kind of come at it from either angle. Got a few examples here, just referring to those situations. So if you're moving individual game holders to plans, either mini, partial, full season, whatever the case is. Let's say you take a customer, they don't hold a plan, they've gone to 14 games one season, 15 the next. They buy 4 tickets. They're somewhat consistent, but they're all single game purchases. You can look at concession data to see how much they're buying. Okay, they're buying mid to high. Looks like a family with 4 tickets. There's some concession purchases made. You can look at Prospector or Live Analytics and so, okay, they have a little above average spending ability. And then you can see, using the Sports CRM demographic engine, what we're able to do is look at, very easily in a world of view, look at what kind of games are they coming to. Okay, they buy 14 games, they're all singles, but they're also all weekends, or they're all Thursdays, or they're during the week, and it's maybe it's business related. And when you have that information, then you can go forward and go, okay, we have a mini plan that perfectly fits this person's habits. We should talk to them. Get it all up front, make it a little easier for the customer, but also get them on for a 20-game plan or whatever it is, and maybe upsell a little bit. The other way to look at this also, and this is kind of true for everything though, but I think we often look at, okay, we have these 3 20-game plans available. We need to sell them. Let's find people who can buy them. But the other way to look at it is to look at patrons and customers and say, okay, we've got this many customers who all fit this profile. We have nothing to sell them. Let's create a new plan. Let's create a new mini plan. Let's create a partial season that fits their mold, because apparently that's what's interesting to the customers. That's what they want to go to. We should create a product for them to purchase. Once we add people to our campaign based on these facts here, we can launch that campaign in CRM, whether it's through email or over the phone, and track the results there. And you can get up to minute tracking in terms of how successful the campaign's been, and especially with links and emails or on the phone, you can certainly directly tie revenue to what you're what the campaign is doing. Very similar process, partial to full plan. We've got a partial season ticket holder, maybe they've got 2 tickets, kind of a mid-range. They're not reselling any of their tickets. We can look at the secondary market. If it's StubHub or Ticket Exchange and you've got that information, you can say, okay, they're not selling any of their tickets. They've come into a lot of the games. I think scan percentage, access control data is important. We want to know how often they're actually coming. They spend a good amount in concessions. Prospector or Live Analytics says, you know, they've got a good threshold for spend. They can do this. They have additional tickets they've purchased. Maybe they've had a one-off. They buy a 20 game and then they come to 1 or 2 other games as well, or whatever the case is. And then, you know, we can look at that person and go, okay, maybe they're a good candidate for a full season. They buy this set. They can afford it a little bit. Maybe they haven't thought about that commitment before, but it's certainly someone you want to reach out to based on all this information kind of in the same place. Distressed inventory, that's just looking the other direction, right? This is looking at what products you have. So let's say you've got kind of mid-level, low-level seats available, pairs and piggybacks. It's not something that's going to be easy for people to pick up online, for example. It's not the most popular game, so it's a little soft. Whether it's, you know, midweek if you're not a football team, or it's early in the season and people aren't interested yet. So we can look at the demographics engine on a broad scale. We can say, okay, let's see who is interested in games like this. Who likes to see this opponent, even though they're not very popular, and they do it with consistency. Who comes to this day of the week, even if it's not consistent, or this month, even if it's not very popular. We've got people who are interested in coming to those. And then you come up with a list of those contacts, of those customers, and you can run the campaign out of CRM in the same fashion. You could score them with Live Analytics or Prospector after the fact, or use that as part of the search to begin with. But this way you can find people who are interested in a soft game in a way that maybe you wouldn't look at it before. Instead of looking at one-off, you're trying to get everybody who's got those kind of habits. This is certainly, I think, a present issue for a lot of teams. You've got people who have tickets, they've got season tickets, or they've got plans, and they just don't come. Right? They're no-show, whether it's because the weather's bad or because it's early in the year. It's the same kind of thing that people maybe aren't buying tickets. It's not the best game. If you get a midweek April game for a baseball team, you know, that's a little softer. It's a little hard to get those tickets. So, you know, how do we get those people to come in? I think there's a couple of ways. One, I think the key is to look at their other spending habits. What we do is look at concessions, look at merchandise, really kind of get the full picture, a third-party scoring if you've got it, and put that together and say, okay, this person is interested in this product, right? Whether they buy a concession or they buy merchandise, whatever it is, and being able to offer discounts or promotions based on those items, and say, okay, this person, they've shown a history of a certain purchase in the past. Let's give them 10% off of the team store or a certain discount at concessions, whatever the case may be. You can do this in advance using demographics and any other data you've got. You can do it live if you have the ability to do that, especially either with a loyalty program. That can work with CRM, and we can automatically pull all those people out, run the campaign from CRM, even while people are in the arena. Increasing the spend amount, it's a very similar thing. You've got people who are showing up for the game, but their per caps are low, right? They're not buying as much in the park as you'd like. I'd like to see that raise a little bit. Understanding you can look at the whole and the habits of the entire group of people that are doing this. So, okay, what are they buying? When do they enter the park? They show up right as the game's starting. They're not there before. Maybe you could get a list of those people and have targeted promotions just to those people. You come to the arena half an hour beforehand. There'll be discounts on these concessions, and the cost of the concession is the cost of the concession, obviously for the club, but you're making incremental revenue there because in other situations they wouldn't be buying it at all. So those are kind of the situational examples. One thing we've done also is visualize everything, so we can create these heat map reports. This one's for Fenway Park. I drew this one. It took a little while, but I think the result was good. And you can show renewal rates, you can show no-show rates, you can show anything you want in terms of the data that we have in CRM. We can put that together and have a display in this report, and this is great for executive-level review. And if you look at the CEO or the COO of the organization, they're not going to necessarily want to look at section-by-section charts. That's not what they're supposed to be doing anyway. But they may have an interest and say, okay, how are certain sections doing certain price scales, and we can cut the park up like that and look at this. And part of when you look at the resale rates, it was this information that can lead to teams doing digital ticketing in certain sections, or making it a little harder to resale when the resale rate is over 100% for a section in cheap seats, for example. This could be something that is very helpful in that to visualize. So I've got a couple of different views. You can kind of see sections changing based on the color. We can do this as specific or general as you want, but this can be pretty helpful in trying to better understand the habits of the people in those sections. So just a case study before I wrap up my little spiel here, but this is something we did with the Red Sox. Before the CRM, we were distributing leads in Excel sheets. There was no real tracking of results. There was some shared Excel sheets, which became a little tricky because people would update while the other people were in it. It might not save correctly. There's a lot of human error involved there, of course. Game day suite inventory was all managed with Excel, and they were all working on the same sheet. So 2 people could be in there at the same time selling the same suite. It happened, and that's something that obviously we needed to take care of. Identifying potential customers based on prior purchases. The tracking was only in the ticket system, which is not always the most intuitive. So there's something that they wanted to organize. There was not a lot of sales performance reporting. A lot of it was just kind of not necessarily very specific. So it was there, but not great at a rep level sales. And there's a lot of loose paper. I mean, we'd go to the ticket rep's desk and there'd just be scraps of paper floating around with various pieces of information because there was no centralized portion. So what we were able to do with Sports CRM, once it was loaded into Red Sox and we launched, was repeatable sales process for new sales and renewals. We were able to create a system that was logical at work. It was designed with the team, but it streamlined everything so that everything was done the same way every time. Limited the ability for human error to be a problem, and it became a little more organized, and reporting became a lot easier. We added reports into their dashboards for activity management or opportunities and revenue generated, all of these various pieces, especially for sales, and then also customer service tracking. And that became very easy for the reps to enter. It was just what they were doing in document, and then for managers to track. Suites and we've done sponsorship products as well. That's something that we can manage in terms of inventory. The Red Sox had a lot of success moving to that model. We can make it a good calendar reporting in terms of tracking, okay, what's available on what game day, and if you've got non-game day sales, let's say we have weddings or parties or whatever it is in the stadium, in the arena, that's all can be tracked in this as well. Targeted campaigns were launched in CRM, so they gather, based on some of the scenarios I just mentioned, they gather a list of contacts, and then they could work with their reps to say, okay, we need to reach out to these people. And what we found is not only were they increasing the organization and the sales and the revenue, but also they were looking at the reps. They started seeing the rep level success and say, okay, who's holding on to things without selling them? Who's reserving seats and not selling them their suite? Who's not selling as much as they could? And they had a much better reporting on that as well. So this is an example of something we did. We compared a broad sale, a broad-based campaign that was emailed to a full database, and then a CRM targeted campaign selling the same products. And we sent the broad-based email out, and then we sent a CRM targeted email out. The CRM targeted email was only to the people we thought would be interested in buying it, and the message, and this is a big part of, this is kind of in the content piece, but the message of the email, from the subject to the design of the actual body, was specifically targeted to the people we sent it to. So if customer A was interested in one plan and customer B we thought would be interested in another, they got a very specific email message. And we said that, okay, this will likely increase open clicks, read rates. And it did. We had, of the emails opened when we sent that broad email, it was 2.5% open rate. The open rate for the targeted email was 34.33%, which is very high for this sort of situation. I think the important thing to note here is that everyone who opened one of the CRM targeted emails had already received the broad-based email. We double sent it so that everyone had already gotten an email, and the open rate was still much higher. Click rate on the ticket offer, also much higher. It's about a 1,400% increase for both. and we think that has a lot to do with both the target who is reading it, but also the content of the email. But opening and clicking on an email, as I am all too aware, does not always lead to a sale. So we wanted to look at specific sales numbers as well. So we sold 4 products through the CRM targeted campaign. We looked at a 36-hour period before we sent the email and a 36-hour period after we sent the email, and we saw that the number of tickets sold for those products went up between 2 and 4.5 times at that rate. And we sold 14 times more tickets for 9 total products that weren't necessarily targeted in the CRM campaign, but you could get to on the website once you hit the link, and we added sales for those as well. So these numbers I thought were fantastic, both in terms of being able to show an ROI on the investment of CRM, which it can be very important for people who, the business owners in your various organizations, but also because it was just generating revenue. We were able to sell tickets we might not otherwise have been able to sell, and it made a big difference for the ticket line as well. So just kind of overviewing what we've looked at with the scenarios and this case study, we want to be able to increase ticket sales, increase the effective targeting of specific customers, whether it's suites or groups or whatever the case is. Increasing the total spend, right? Those per caps is very important as well. You get people in the stadium, that's not going to pay the bills in total. You got to sell things when you're there. And increasing staff productivity by making it much more easy and streamlined a way for them to do business at all levels. Decreasing unnecessary customer contacts. I know we have a lot of, especially in baseball with centralized emails, a lot of customers, a lot of fans feel like they get bombarded with emails too much. It's a point of pain. We want to minimize contacts to people who are unnecessary. If we don't think they're likely to buy, we don't want to call them because it'll just upset them a little more. Decrease time spent, on lead organization allocation, and then also on report creation and running. A lot of this is automated. So instead of the end of the week report or the end of the month report that a sales manager might have to put together, it's all done automatically. It's live updating. You don't have to wait until the end of the month. You can do it whenever you want, and it's all there in CRM. We build it once, and then it's done. And we've got people who don't have to spend that time going forward. And I think that time saved is something that's often overlooked, but is a real important part of it. So that's my time. I don't know if there's any questions, and otherwise, John will take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Curran. If you want to stop sharing, then I can start. I'll get out of full screen. All right. Hello, everyone. I got a couple of slides, and then we're actually going to jump into the product. And it's going to be a little bit about reemphasizing what Curran was talking about. Our mission statement for this product is really, we don't feel a team should spend any money on CRM unless they actually think it's going to drive revenue. And we feel we can help teams do that by understanding more information about their customers to have stronger targeted campaigns from a marketing and sales perspective. How do we do that? It's all around the data. We've built some very strong integration to the ticketing systems. So on a nightly basis, we're pulling in the ticketing data. We are making sure that I, as John Lucas, where I might have gone and bought at the ticket office, I might have bought online, I might have bought over the phone, I might have bought through a secondary market. I could be in the ticketing system 4 different times. We want to consolidate me into a single CRM record. So when we go to look at John Lucas, we know that what I bought from an individual basis, a group basis, a premium basis, a corporate sponsorship basis, et cetera. So again, consolidating John Lucas into a single person. And then know the trends for what am I buying. So once we pull that data in on a nightly basis, we run our demographics engine, which then goes and more or less fills out all the information about me as a buyer. How many tickets do I usually buy? What's my average spend? What's my least amount? What's my most amount? What do I spend on groups versus individuals? So again, as we build campaigns for the salespeople to go and make pitches to me, if they're going to pitch me group tickets, pitch me group tickets for the games that I'd like to go to in the price range that I typically like to buy in. Don't just throw it out there and see what sticks. So by knowing and consolidating customers into a single identity, knowing my trends in terms of what I purchase, we can really focus our marketing and sales efforts to make sure that we have very targeted offers that increase the response rates and just make the reps more successful. As someone in sales, it's tough when you dial and you get the hang up, or you dial and you don't have people interested on the other end. Well, what we want to do is give these reps the ability, when they're making these calls, to have something that the person on the other end of the line is most likely to be interested in. So with that, let's jump into the product. And give me a second. Now, one of the things that Microsoft has done, and our sports CRM solution is built within Microsoft Dynamics CRM. We're going to be walking through their latest release, Dynamics CRM 2011. What Microsoft has done to really increase user adoption is to build the solution directly within Outlook. So as a rep comes in the morning, they need to check their emails, look at their calendar, what tasks do I have to do today. Not only are they launching Outlook, but they're also launching CRM. So I don't need to remember another password. I don't need to launch another window to get into the system. When I open Outlook, I'm in CRM. The other part to that is any of the records within Outlook, I can very easily tie back into CRM. So in this case, I've got an email here from Frank Johnson saying he wants some more information about getting a luxury suite for next year. Well, I can take this email and I want to track this now as an activity within CRM. So I can simply come up here and click the track button. So now this would be tracked as an activity. Now I want to say, well, what is this regarding? It could be about an individual person. It could be about an account, an opportunity, a service case. Somebody lost their tickets. We want to tie this correspondence back to that service case that we're tracking within CRM. In this case, I'm just going to link it to Frank. So I'm going to respond back. Great. I will set up a time to talk. So I can send that off. And now what you'll notice is that my response is automatically tracked within the system. So I can send that off. I can then close out the email, go to my calendar, and say, hey, maybe I'll set up a time right here so I can create a meeting request for Frank. Again, I want to track this meeting now in CRM. I can simply go to Set Regarding, and there's Frank, because he's one of my popular records that I've been using lately. So I've got Frank. I can send this off to Frank Johnson. Does this time work? I will call you. Now, prior to sending this off, I can save it. And what you'll notice is down at the bottom of the screen, there's a little dynamic CRM component where it has the CRM contact record for Frank Johnson. So prior to making this call, I want to be able to go and reach out to Frank. So what I want to do is just pop up, open a CRM record to kind of understand, well, what do we know about Frank? And one of the things that we've done within our sports CRM solution is for all the different records that we're going to interact with, whether it's a contact, an account, an opportunity, a phone call, etc., we've done a couple of things. When I open up a contact record, the first thing I'm probably not going to be doing is going in and editing his email address or updating his actual address or the town he lives in. What do I want to know about Frank? Well, in this case, we have header information that's going to be consistent on every form that we use. So I can see how long he has been a customer, what type of customer is he, how do I get in touch with him, how does he not want me to get in touch with him, who's his sales and service rep, what has he purchased, he's a season ticket holder, if he's purchased groups or premiums or sponsorship, all of that would show up here as well. How often is he reselling? And then right beneath that, we've got our little contact dashboard. Give me information about Frank that's going to lead me down a conversation that's going to be productive, okay? So in this case, we've built a little summary report which shows all the recent interactions that we've had with Frank. So in this case, here's that appointment I just set up. Here's the email, my response to Frank. As I scroll down, I can see his initial email in. We can also see, it looks like he's a Browns fan. He's also looking like he wants to talk about group tickets. He's got some sponsorship opportunities here as well. So again, looks like a lot of people in the organization have been in contact with Frank about a lot of stuff. So I want to make sure I have some context as to those interactions. So when I talk with Frank, I know that he's also been interested in groups, or maybe he had a broken seat at the last game and I can respond and say, hey, did that ever get resolved? Besides the client summary, as we scroll down, we can see obviously the activities, but we've also pulled in this case, Arctics, but really from any ticketing system, a summary of what Frank's purchased. So I can see season ticket plans, group tickets, suites, individual tickets, StubHub, secondary market data. So I have some context as to the types of purchases that Frank's made with us. And so as I said before, we're pulling this in on a nightly basis. Once we pull it in, we run our demographics calculations. So if I go to my demographics, here I can start looking at, okay, from a financial perspective, he's not coming anywhere near as much this year as he did last year. Is this a season ticket holder at risk? Is this a season ticket holder that's reselling through the secondary market to make money? Is he not happy with the team on the field? These are the types of things that say, hey, Frank, I see you're not coming as much this year. What's going on? Do you not like the team, et cetera? I can see what's the most he spent, what's the least he spent. Typically, how much does he spend? What has he ordered this year versus last year? Scrolling down a little bit more, I can get a summary based upon the types of tickets, so groups, individuals, non-games, et cetera, what he's done this year versus last year. Going down a little further, I can get in, to some more detail. So for groups, I can see he's spending, this year about $100 on groups versus as an individual, he's only spending $35. So if I'm going to go pitch him some individual tickets, maybe he likes to sit up in the 300 level versus, if I'm pitching group tickets, he likes to sit courtside or, in front of the glass or first row behind the dugout, depending upon the sport that we're talking about. So we have this purchase summary information. All of this information, including the ticket preferences in terms of what types of games does Frank like to go to, we can then use to start driving campaigns and those types of activities. What we've also done is added in some additional details. So Frank, in this case, is a season ticket holder. He's been one for 6 years now. So I'm assuming that as a season ticket rep, I've had some conversations with Frank. So I can start asking him some questions, that we might also want to be able to use. So, is he married? Does he have kids? So here's a person we might want to pitch for a family event. What are his interests? What other teams does he like? So again, these are the types of things, maybe if we're having our annual golf outing. Let's start with the list of contacts who actually like to golf. Or if we're doing a 5K fun run, let's start with the people who like to run. If we've got a team coming into town, let's focus on the people who actually like that team. Focusing on other things like key dates, other tickets they buy, schools. So if we're going to have an event at the arena that has a college or a high school, well, the more information that we can understand about our customer, the easier it's going to be for us to create some specific targeted marketing efforts to get offers in front of our salespeople that they can hopefully in turn sell to other people. So, that's some of the information we're tracking around the contact or account in any case. And what we're going to use that for, and I'll just close this down, is to hopefully go and sell to them. So in this case, so I've got my email, but we build these marketing lists, and the marketing list can be built either using the information we have in the system, so I can go and look at, all my non-season ticket holders who came to more than 50% of the games last year. That might be a group that we want to go and try to sell season tickets to. Or maybe it's a list of high schools, or maybe it's law firms in Greater Cleveland, lists that we might go purchase from third parties. So again, we can pull these lists in, or we can build them using Microsoft's Advanced Find tool. And what's nice about Advanced Find is that you can build these lists based upon any attribute on the contact record, but also on any related record. So again, here's where we can start looking at some of those customer demographics and experiences. So these lists or these views that we can create, so I can just maybe all my active season ticket holders, that's a list. Maybe I want to see all my active contacts whose average ticket price is greater than $50. We've got availability to a game tomorrow night. There are higher end seats. Let's start with the list of the people who have a tendency to buy the higher end seats. And these queries can get rather complex. And what this allows us to do is not just look at, and I'm just going to collapse this for a second, is not just look at some of the details that our demographics engine is calculating. So right now I want to pull a list of all my contacts who are active. I want all those that live within 30 miles of the stadium. Their average ticket price is greater than $50 and they typically buy 2 or more tickets. We can also pull in information from third-party data sources like Live Analytics or Prospector. I want to see from a Live Analytics perspective, give me those where their propensity to purchase a ticket between $66 and $120 is greater than 50%. So again, we're trying to get people who live near the stadium and spend a decent amount on a ticket. Then I can go and expand this out. Well, what exactly are we looking for? Well, we want to take people who've actually bought individual tickets. Again, this could be groups, suites, etc. But show me people I've got individual tickets for a weekend game from this year, last year, where the game tier was a 4 or 5. So in this case, it looks like we've got a game coming in this weekend where it's one of the not-so-good teams in the league that people don't typically care to go see, that we have some higher-end tickets to. So show me all the people who bought tickets to those types of games in this particular arena or city or whatever the case may be. So these are the types of lists we can build in the system and then start adding those to our different campaigns. So again, what are we trying to do? So whether these are things like renewals or corporate sales, or maybe we just want to have an appreciation night for our season ticket holders. Make sure that they're going to renew for next year. On the campaign itself, we're going to be able to track some financials to it, great. But the focus will be, okay, well, who do we want to target for this particular campaign? So we've got our season ticket holders. We've also got those at risk. So again, maybe this is a separate group that we want to focus on. We've got non-season ticket holders who came to more than 50% of the games last year, a great target for us to try to get on a full season plan. And then maybe even ex-season ticket holders. How can we get them to come back and spend money with us? And what we'll do is we'll take these lists and then have our campaign activities. So we're going to have an initial email go out to them inviting them to an event. But then following that email, we're going to want to have a follow-up phone call where these are then going to be distributed out to the reps so the reps can go and start pounding the phones, inviting them to this particular event or to offer them this particular product. And we'll be able to track these through a process. So now I, as a rep, once these phone calls have been distributed, I can come in and look at my activities. So again, I'm just in Outlook. I've checked my email. Now I need to start my day. What are my activities for today? Well, maybe I don't want to see activities. I want to see my phone calls. Well, you know what? That's all my phone calls. I don't want to see all those. I just want to see the phone calls I'm supposed to be making this week. All right? And so here's my list of phone calls. And as we go to make a phone call, in this case, it's going to be around a different campaign where it's around sponsorship opportunities. We're following up, in this case, with Anna. Again, what we've done on all the different records, so as I go into the phone call, we're still going to have that header so I can see any other information that I know about Anna. I can see that client summary. So what have we reached out to Anna about? We've also included the summary report from the ticketing system. But I make the phone call, maybe in this case, she's not there, so I left her a voicemail. So I want to create a follow-up. And I'm just going to put this out for next week. The system will automatically go and create that for me. So now as part of my day, I want to move on and make my next phone call. So it's just going to close out the phone call. And I can go and make my next phone call. So now I'm calling Diego. And in this case, not only is Diego interested in coming and joining our charity walk, but he also is, there's that meeting that I created. We'll dismiss that. He also is interested in group tickets. Fantastic. All right, so now I've got my phone call. I've updated my notes. Well, I want to be able to take this now and convert it to an opportunity. And so with a simple click of a button, now the rep can start managing the sales process to say, we want to close this out. We're going to open up the new opportunity, close this out as completed, And we can tie all these opportunities back to whatever source campaign they were a part of, in this case our charity walk. And so now I can open the campaign, and as I have Diego on the phone, we can start detailing out, okay, well, tell me a little bit about, what types of tickets you're in, where, how much you're looking to spend, how many people are you looking to bring to the game. So as my opportunity opens up, again, we've got the header up top, so I would know any specifics that we might know. So in this case, we know that Diego is a season ticket holder. Great. I can go and specify, well, what type of opportunity is this? It's going to be a group ticket. I can then scroll down and go to our quick product ad. We want to add some group tickets. He's looking to get 20 seats at $75 a pop. Now I can go and specify specific types of products that we're selling. Maybe I want to specify which group is Diego with. He's part of a scout troop. We can then even go and detail out, a little message, welcome Troop 409, submit the product. So now I've got my tickets. I could go and add in any other products. So if we had parking, if we had loaded value, if I had some other type of add-on or write-in, we want to give them 20 T-shirts, fantastic. So we can start detailing out the different components of this opportunity. We can say, okay, I'm about 50% sure he's going to move forward, and Diego said he wanted to figure this out by the end of the month. So I can start putting in those details. And then update the status. I've had a conversation, and I'm just going to take this through the sales process to where we'd eventually close this out as won or lost. And as it closes out as win, we can record the revenue. And as we close out the opportunity and go back to the campaign, we want to be able to see, well, all right, we've invested X amount in building these lists and having these phone calls and sending out the mailers. Was it worth the investment? Now I can go to my season ticket holder appreciation night and look at the performance of the campaign. So we had some expected revenues and budgets, et cetera, that we were hoping to get out of this. We can see the marketing list that we included. We can see the activities that were part of this. And then below that, we can actually start looking at our reps and seeing their progress. So in this case here, the different phone calls that were distributed out to the reps, we can see what they've completed, what they still have open. And then from those phone calls below that, we can actually see the opportunities by rep at what stage they're at in the process. And then once they've actually been purchased, start tracking the actual dollars and eventually tying in the specific tickets to this event. So again, that's kind of how we're running these campaigns. It's a fairly simple concept, but if we can get, information in front of the reps and offers in front of the reps of things that people are most likely to move forward with, we can make them more successful. And so, whether we're selling individuals, group tickets, premium suites, et cetera, all those we are trying to manage through these very targeted campaign efforts. A couple other things I just wanted to quickly talk about. We work opportunities using Microsoft's out-of-the-box opportunities. Opportunities can be of all different types. We can have, renewals, groups, individuals. We can also manage all of our sponsorship opportunities. As part of that, if we open up a sponsorship opportunity, you're going to be able to define your entire product inventory. So, okay, we've got radio ads, we've got signage, we've got television, et cetera, for each of the different renewal opportunities, or for each of the different sponsorship opportunities. Again, we can detail out the different types of products that they're looking to purchase. As we detail these out, again, we're just going to take this through the standard process. What we do when we close these out, hopefully as one, is as we get ready for the next season, we have a renewal engine which will automatically go and for our sponsorship opportunities and all of our ticket plans, automatically create new opportunities for the reps, taking whatever was purchased the previous year and putting that within the product summary. So now as the rep goes in and sees what they purchased last year, they can look for potential cross-sell and upsell opportunities. And again, start managing those processes, eliminating the steps of the rep needing to go and remember to go and create the renewal for the next season. So, the sponsorship opportunities, similar to the plan opportunities, are going to be managed in a similar way. but they can be managed by separate groups without the overlap, but with the visibility of conversations that we're having. So if I, John Lucas, buy tickets as an individual, but I'm also looking to do sponsorships as Green Beacon, and the sponsorship guy calls me, he can also see the ticket rep has been calling me about group tickets. So again, it's trying to have that 360-degree view of the customer. We got about 10 minutes left. The last thing I wanted to touch upon was just the premium sales. We also handle this through Dynamic CRM, and in this case, I'm just going to go and change my dates. And so what this allows us to do, and this is what we first automated for the Red Sox, was, you know, they had this huge Excel spreadsheet where down along the left-hand side they had all their inventory, and then along the top they had all the games. And they ran into lots of different issues, whether it was how long something could be on hold, or, you know, who was reserving things and then at the last minute canceling it out, you know, not just from a rep perspective, but from a customer perspective. So if a customer's gone in and reserved 5 different suites for games, but they cancel 80% of the time, maybe this is someone we kind of want to, you know, prod a little bit more to get a better commitment from them. But it really just shows me all of my inventory, what's available, and then we can just walk it through a process where for a particular premium sale, we can specify the suite. And again, the pricing can be based upon the tier of the game. So again, if you have a tier 1 team coming in, a suite might be $20,000 versus if it's a tier 2, it's $18,000. If it's a tier 3, it's $17,500, however you want to have that. We can add in any other, so additional tickets, catering, beverages, you know, a visit from the mascot, etc. All those can be loaded in. We can create, you know, the quote or the invoice directly from here and manage that process. Once they've committed, we would obviously go and send this off via workflow to make sure we go and grab all the tickets that would be responsible and then link them back into the premium booking that we created. And with that, we've got about 8 minutes left. I guess we can kind of open up the floor to see if people have any questions. All right, I guess that satisfied everyone's interests. We'd love to, you know, I kind of blew through that fairly quickly. Typically what we like to do is engage all of our different teams in understanding more about your needs and what you're focused on, because what we found is that while you guys are all trying to do the same thing, is put butts in seats and make money, you guys all work differently and you also have different focuses. So if you're interested in learning more about how we work with different teams around different areas of the solution, we'd love to engage, so please don't hesitate to, I guess, follow up with us. You can reach out to Brian Miller at bmiller@greenbeacon.com if you'd like to learn some more. And with that, as I don't think we have any other questions, we'll conclude the presentation. So everyone, thank you for your time, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.